Sabah everybody and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to talk about the Xperia Pro from Sony. This guy almost didn't happen. I honestly didn't think it was going to happen. It was announced about a year ago and we finally have it as a smartphone that truly embodies the word professional. The Pro in Xperia Pro really means a professional tool for you when you want to use it to basically create content or even use it as I would say the center of your live streaming or your streaming content experience. This is TK. Let's go ahead and talk about the Xperia Pro from Sony. Like and subscribe and make sure you hit that bell icon so that you're always notified whenever we have new videos on the channel. So we started the video by focusing specifically on the word Pro. What does the word Pro mean? Sony's approach to this smartphone is very much a professional user or prosumer, professional, again, Pro meaning that features in the smartphone that make it very unique to any other smartphone on the market today. And one of the main features obviously is the fact that this device supports HDMI in. Not just HDMI out, meaning you can mirror the display on the smartphone, but you can actually use the smartphone as a display and use the glory of the 4K OLED panel that we have in here to actually use content that can be brought into it. So when it comes to the Xperia Pro, what makes it more unique than the Xperia 1 Mark II? Both were announced at the same time, and obviously the HDMI in is the biggest feature, but let's put that to the side for a second. What can you do with this smartphone that you can't do with the Xperia 1 Mark II? Well, first and foremost, I would probably say is the construction of the device is actually built with a four-way antenna to provide it much better reception to ultra-wideband technology, which means the 5G that we get here, not only is it compatible with sub-6 type of 5G from Verizon, but it's also compatible with their fastest internet, which is the ultra-wideband, which gives you the ability of getting down almost 2.5 to 2.6 gigabits down. This is a dual SIM card supporting device. The Xperia 1 Mark II did not have dual SIM card support. Now, we don't have wireless charging on here. We only have obviously the secondary button that was added in here, where the Xperia 1 Mark II has only one button pressed on the bottom, which you can use to activate the Camera Pro or the standard camera application. Here we have a configurable button that we're able to customize some of the experiences on the Xperia Pro, like the application that allows us to actually see how is the Wi-Fi connectivity connected to this device, what's our upload and download speed, and of course the ability of actually just turning on our monitoring app. So if you want shortcuts, you could definitely customize it there with that secondary button. And then lastly, we have 512 gigs of internal storage as opposed to the 256 gigs of internal storage. So definitely a focus on mass capacity storage here whenever you want to transfer content from an external source that may be recording at 4K or even 6K, depending on the actual camera that you're using with it. So let's talk a little bit about the actual setup that I had here for us, and of course talk about how was I able to test all those Pro features on the Xperia Pro. So my test included an A7S III that Sony provided as a loaner with the device that I had with me. And of course, we were able to use it with a cage and set it up. And of course, we had Verizon LTE as well as Verizon 5G service connected there. So that was my entire setup. I had a cage around my A7S III, mounted the actual Xperia Pro at the top. And one thing to keep in mind, whenever we're talking about ultra wideband, Sony focused heavily on providing us the best accessories that enabled us to get the best signal. Even down to the actual clamp that we use on top of the A7S III. It was made out of plastic without any metal so that there is no interference with the ultra wideband modems that we have on the back of the Xperia Pro. So when it comes down to that, what can you do with the Xperia Pro that you can't do with any of the other smartphones on the market? I'll say this first and foremost. About a week or so ago, during my live stream on the Saturday Morning with Tech, I did a test live stream with a buddy of mine, Juan Carlos Bagnell, where he jumped in onto the call and we were both using our Xperia Pros. And that to me was a very quick test of how does the functionality work when it comes down to on the go. So I live stream twice a week, both on Wednesdays or Thursdays, depending on the day, with Juan Carlos with the Best of Our Week show. And then on Saturdays, I have my Saturday Morning with Tech. Both of those are live streams, and the ability of using a device that is like the Xperia Pro. Let's say this is your main device, you're using it as your daily driver, and you're out and about with your A7S III. Connect the A7S III directly into the Xperia Pro, and you suddenly have the best camera setup that you can and streaming to whatever platform you want to use. I tested it out with YouTube, StreamYard, and Streamlab, and of course we were able to stream over to Twitch and all of the other services that are used through either Streamlabs or StreamYard. As far as YouTube, obviously it goes straight into the YouTube website, and if you have any third-party setup as far as like a specific destination, you're able to customize it directly within Streamlabs, which I found to be very easy and very simple to use. That's pretty much what we talk about when we talk about streaming. And let me give you guys a quick example. Here's a little bit of an excerpt that Juan Carlos and I did for a dedicated about 26-minute live stream between he and myself on the Xperia Pro on both ends.
I had consistent signal for about maybe 45 seconds.
Nice.
Where the signal went from front to the side to the front, so you could see it moving as my orientation was moving.
Yeah.
And I felt like that was like, but that was pure luck. That was pure luck. Like I could not replicate it even if I wanted to.
But also helpful. Again, we need, this is a professional grade communication standard. This is for a professional grade smartphone. This is a brain for a mobile broadcast situation. And we need that data. This isn't a good conversation to be throwing in the what most mainstream consumers might use. This isn't
no.
And honestly, millimeter wave, it doesn't matter on what phone it is. Millimeter wave is, to me, it's becoming more and more linked with the idea of a broadcast or a more professional grade solution. It's the minority of phones that are going to be in a stadium and have access to millimeter wave tech that will be able to free up the bandwidth for everyone else that's kind of like Snapchatting and Instagramming and stuff like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, that are barely, they don't even need anywhere close to that bandwidth.
One of the other things that I decided to do is go down to Santa Monica to be able to test out the 5G connectivity, and as well as actually testing upload or using it truly to its fullest power. I did a couple of tests, one in the car using the cameras on the actual smartphone. I also did a test in the car with the ultra-wideband connectivity. And last but not least, also did a test outdoors where I was still able to get the connectivity. One thing to mention though, ultra-wideband is very finicky, and having the application to monitor the connection is always important, especially when you're using it in a broadcast situation, because the drop of a network connection, let's say you drop from 5G to LTE, could impact the performance or the quality of the video that you're broadcasting. So for me, I was able to make sure that I was in a spot that was very nicely covered, and of course did this test for you guys. This is a quick test of a live stream using StreamYard and with the A7S III. I'm connected over, UW, basically ultra wideband Verizon connection here in Venice. And this is all done remotely and mobily. So the A7S III is connected to the Xperia Pro via HDMI. I'm using the Liberty Air 2 Pros for audio so that you guys get the best audio experience. And of course, all of this done on the A7S III using, of course, the Sony Xperia Pro is the brains of all of this. I could totally jump into the Xperia Pro and use it by itself, but using the HDMI in function allows me to actually have high-end camera, much better lenses, and of course, much better video quality for anybody. And I can record this and export it later on via basically FTP directly to my Xperia Pro and upload it to one of my servers. So now we're outside, the same test is going on, and we're basically using the same setup. Mobile over 5G, ultra wideband. The A7S III is the primary camera. I have to wear a mask since we're in Santa Monica / Venice, but the overall experience is super great. Very mobile, very good, and I hope you guys can hear me. The smartphone was the center of the entire process. At the time I was connected via HDMI, and that's how we were able to get the feed directly into it, and of course broadcast it directly into StreamYard. The other feature that you're also able to do with this is the ability of using it as a 4K monitor. Because of the fact that we have the monitoring app that's built in here, it gives us the ability of customizing the experience. You can go in there, flip it upside down, set it up correctly, and that becomes a front-facing display to your camera. An example would be like my A7 III. One of the biggest things that drove me crazy about that camera, although it's one of the best cameras that I have, is the fact that the display is not front-facing. We don't have a flippy display to be able to see ourselves. And with the Xperia Pro, we're able to actually use the Xperia Pro. Again, had this been my standard phone that I use on a daily basis, I can just connect it to the top, and now I have a full-size, big 4K display that can give me the best quality image that I can see, and I can actually see what's going on with my footage. And of course, I can make sure that I'm in focus and everything is set and done correctly. So that's the benefit here. HDMI in is a big feature for prosumers and streamers. If you love to stream and you want to be able to get one system that can get you that centralized connection, the Xperia Pro works great. Lastly, you can also connect it over USB-C and of course transfer your files directly from your A7S III or whichever camera you're using, and then of course upload them to Drive, Dropbox, whatever shared content site that you like to do it, or even record the video straight on your A7S III and then upload the files themselves directly to YouTube if the video is basically already self-contained, meaning it's ready to be produced. If it needs some work, of course, we can edit the content directly on the Xperia Pro, and we can use programs like PowerDirector to edit our videos and of course produce them and put them on the web. The thing about the Xperia Pro, which is very different, and I really want to basically emphasize this at this point, is this is not just another smartphone that features prosumer features, meaning we have the latest specifications, we're running fast, 5G, ultra wideband. but it's the ability of using other devices and allowing it to be the center of your system. When I used it with StreamYard or with Streamlabs, it was a very seamless transition. I was able to see who I'm talking to, transition, accept the invitation directly from Juan Carlos when he jumped into the call with me, and we were able to actually communicate quite nicely using the system right there. And the fact that it's mobile allows us to be able to do this on the go. Meaning, if you're a journalist, a video producer, or basically a person that creates content on the go, your setup just literally shrunk down to a smartphone and a camera and an HDMI cable, all the way down from having to bring in either the LTE broadcast piece of equipment or anything that normally would have made your entire setup be so much more bulkier. The Xperia Pro truly encompasses all of those features and allows you to connect to almost any service you'd like to be able to use with it. And that's the benefit. What I would probably say is at this point, it's only available at least in the US through Verizon, and it does support their ultra wideband connectivity. It is also available in Japan, to my understanding. Other markets, I'm not 100% sure, and I feel like this is a perfect product for anybody that is a streamer, a content creator that's on the go. If you love to have the ability of having everything centralized around your smartphone, truly use the full power of your smartphone and using the HDMI in to optimize your stream, using the latest camera, whichever system you have. Obviously, this A7S III was the perfect example because it is the latest and greatest from Sony. Any camera that has HDMI out, this will definitely connect to it. There's no question that this will augment anybody's experience. Now, the price point is a little bit high. It's about $2,500, but again, this is not intended to be for everybody. This is intended to be for the professional, the prosumer content creator, and where that features, or the features that are included in the Xperia Pro, mean the most. And most of us, whenever we're looking for things, whenever we augment our setup, whenever we upgrade our setup, we end up paying a lot for bigger things to do what we're able to do with the Xperia Pro. Again, the ability of uploading, streaming straight from your DSLR to the web is very, very unique, and I feel like Sony hit the nail of they did a really good job, let's just say that much. I'm a big fan of what they have to offer here, and all of this was built on top of the Xperia 1 Mark II's features, meaning the camera sensors that we have on the back are all here, so the cameras are definitely going to perform quite nicely. You can stream technically straight off of the cameras that we have in there. Obviously, one of the things I decided to do here, which is a little bit of a geeking out, I happen to have two of the Xperia Pros in the studio at one point, and I decided to actually do a quick recording using the Xperia Pro, using HDMI out into the Xperia Pro as the monitor for it, which allowed me to actually at that point just geek out to the most. Obviously, it's a setup that you probably won't want to do, but it definitely looked really nice. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and you guys are as excited as I am about the Xperia Pro from Sony. I am very happy to see that it is actually finally out. I know it's been about a year since we first heard about it, but it is going to be available starting January 26th on Verizon, again, supporting the Sub-6 technology as well as the ultra wideband. So you should be able to have all the connectivity that you need from Verizon, whichever area they're in, and of course get the best of what Sony has to offer when it comes to a professional smartphone that is truly a professional piece of tech. This is TK. Thank you very much for the support. I'll see you guys in the next video.